I wanted to talk about negative self-talk. So the conversations that we have in our heads, because they can be so damaging. It's actually really bad to have a lot of negative self-talk, more than what we actually realize. So, that inner critic, that person in our head, that conversation that we're having with ourselves about ourselves is so important that we pay attention to. Because when it's critical and being like really critical, well, sometimes it can be good. Like if you're going to reach for something not healthy to eat and you kind of go, you really shouldn't be eating that. You really need to be eating the apple. That's kind of benefiting you. But the one that I'm talking about is that inner critic that makes you feel bad, that holds you back. It stops you making decisions. It stops you moving forward in life. It stops you reaching out. It stops you growing. It stops you from stepping out of your comfort zone. It stops you from achieving and being successful, because what it actually does is keeps us locked into our own cell within our own minds. And negative self-talk is so damaging to us, not just because it makes us feel bad, it keeps us locked in a highly critical state, but it increases our stress levels. So we're constantly talking badly to ourselves, we're gonna get stressed over that. And so we think about what stress does to our bodies. Long-term stress is not beneficial, and we know this. It's scientifically been proven. I'm not going to go into how that works, but it impacts us. It also stops us being motivated. So when we're super critical of ourselves, we're less motivated. So we're less likely to go and, do those things that make us feel great or will help us achieve more and be more successful in whatever it is we want to do. When we're being like that negative self-talk, it makes us feel bad. It's, it kind of strips us down. It stops us from really feeling okay. And you know what? The saddest part is we will say stuff to ourselves we would never say to a friend or a family member or one of our kids. We just wouldn't do it, but we say it to ourselves. And when we're listening, we all listen to ourselves 100% of the time. So if you're kind of really being negative, you're really not helping yourself at all. And we want to be able to turn that around, and you can change it. I think I was the queen of negative self-talk when I was young. But I definitely have turned that around. And as I've turned my negative self-talk around, I've actually been able to see how it's really transformed my life and how I show up in it, how I am in my relationships. Some of the negative self-talk that we might do is, that someone might be having a really bad day and they don't really want to talk to you. And so when you go to talk to them, it might be a little bit short. But instead of kind of going, oh wow, they might be having a really bad day, we'll take it personally. And so then we make it all about ourselves, and then we feel bad. And in the process of feeling bad, we will then push that person away. How's that a win? How's that helping you? And then we kind of start saying things to ourselves like, oh, see, I can't make friends, or I'm not good at friendships, or I'm not good in relationships, or we might say that, I've got a C in math, see, I can't do it, I'm bad at math. When no, it might be a case of, well, I'll just do better next time. Or we're learning to reframe how we talk to ourselves will absolutely shift and change how we are. Because negative self-talk, as I said, is so damaging, and often we're not even aware we're doing it. If we've got into the habit of being hypercritical of ourselves, then what happens is we sometimes don't even become aware that we're doing it. Sometimes we're not even aware that we've got that conversation going on in the back of our minds, because it's so subtle. And because we've been listening to it for so long, we actually start to believe, well, it must be true. I'm thinking it. It's in my head. It must be true. So I want to kind of say, imagine if you could turn that around. Imagine if you didn't have that negative self-talk anymore. Imagine if you actually really trusted in yourself and had certainty in yourself. How would that be? How would your life be then? I can tell you now, it would change dramatically. If you weren't talking negatively and running yourself down and being super critical, you're going to feel better. I mean, think about it. When we're criticizing children, they don't thrive, do they? We're no different. So maybe we should start looking at maybe turning that language around and start talking nicely to ourselves. And one of the things that I can do is I know there's a process that can help break free of that negative self-talk for good. And I know as us as women, we're so good at talking ourselves down. We're so good at trashing ourselves and beating ourselves up and telling ourselves we're not good enough, telling ourselves we're not worthy. We try and create things that aren't happening, and we create a lot of pain for ourselves. And if you're kind of tired of that and you've had enough, there's a really cool process called the Mace Energy Method that will help you get there.